All right, so we are looking at our story of money assignment, and we're looking at fiat money. So let's go over here. Fiat money is inconvertible paper money made legal tender by a government decree. So this is where paper money falls. Basically, it just means that it is a piece of paper, very simply, that only has value because our government says it has value. So I can take that piece of paper, and beyond what is printed on it, it is just, a piece of linen paper. It is nothing special. So it asks now, what characteristics should money have to work well? So if you want your money to work well, money should be easy to exchange and relatively standardized. I can't spell. Standardized. So basically, this is going to make it more useful in transactions, if you will. So if we look at, bartering is ineffective because it typically lacks money, therefore lacks any standardization. Oops. So let's go do just a second of research and see what characteristics of money to make it work well. All right. Let's see. Here's a good example. What are the main characteristics of money? You have durability, portability, acceptability, limited supply, divisibility, and uniformity. So let's add into here limited supply. In order to hold its value. It also needs to be durable so that it can cycle through the economy, because it very literally has to cycle through. So we can't have money that is falling apart all the time that we're constantly having to replace. This is one of the downfalls of paper money. Okay, so why are banks able to lend money? So banks are able to lend money because they use the liquid funds deposited by its customers. So basically, when you put your money in a bank, you are saying that they are allowed to use it in order to fund other people's investments. And that's one of the ways that you get interest back on your money, because they are using your liquid cash for something. So you do get, a tiny amount back on that. So a reserve requirement is a central bank regulation that sets a minimum fraction of customer deposits must hold. So it basically, a reserve requirement is a fraction of customer deposits. Change fraction to portion. Portion of customer deposits that a bank must keep on hand, i.e. not lend out. So there is a certain amount that a bank they don't have to everywhere, but most places they do, and most places they will. They'll hold on to a certain amount of liquid funds so that they can use that if anybody decides to come, and withdraw a bunch of money. They don't want to be in a situation where they can't give people their money back. That's one of the things that happened in the stock market crash in 1929, the Great Depression, is that everybody wanted to go withdraw their money from the banks, and the banks had lost it all. So people couldn't get their money from the banks. And that's why you see old people that want to keep their money in mattresses, because to them it's more safe to have it in your own home than it is to leave it with the bank, because they likely experienced something where they took their money to the bank and the bank lost it. So now there's this thing called federal deposit insurance, and it basically means that the federal government will insure your account for up to $150,000. So basically that means you shouldn't put any more than $150,000 in one single bank account, because if something were to happen, you are not going to be able to get back more than $150,000 on each bank account. So you want to split that up in a lot of different places. And if you had that much money, you would want to have a lot of it in investments anyway. But you'll see on commercials for banks, FDIC, and that's just the federal deposit insurance. So number 6, a credit card is not money. Let's be real clear. Let's be real clear about that. It is not money. A credit card does not represent, something that holds value. A credit card is basically a set of numbers and information that the company that you're buying something from can go to the credit card company and say, hey, I've got this account information and I want to add this amount onto their account because they purchased something. Your card is simply a record of that information so that they can swipe it and send it immediately. Back in the day, before they had electronic machines to swipe the card and do the transactions immediately, they used to have a thing, you've probably seen it, where they set it on some carbon paper and then they slide something over it and it makes an impression of the card. And then they go and they run all of the cards with the numbers later. So, when credit cards first started, there was quite a delay in the transaction happening and then showing up on your credit card bill. So it is not money. It is just basically a record of information. So the next question asks us to describe different banks. And there are several different types of banks. So we're going to look at this. There are retail banks, commercial banks, investment banks, central banks, credit union, online banks, savings and loan. So the first bank are retail banks. These are used by the everyday customer, and they're what you are used to seeing. So, Wells Fargo. Let's go back here and let's look at a commercial bank. They focus more on large businesses. And sometimes small ones. But their focus is basically providing capital to businesses.